So my story starts actually before the womb. Before I was even born, my mom was actually the victim of a violent crime in which she ended up being pregnant when she didn't really want to be. It wasn't her plan to have me, and so because it wasn't her plan, she decided that she wanted to go to an abortion clinic to end the pregnancy that she had, ended up having. And while she was at the clinic, she heard an audible voice speak into her ear, "You need to leave now. I have a plan for this child." And that's what she kind of calls her God moment in her life. And as a result of that, she got up and she left the abortion clinic and had me, and 9 months later, and she devoted my first couple of years of life to the Lord. She devoted her parenthood to the Lord. She devoted everything to the Lord. And a couple of years later, my dad came into the picture, legally adopted me, and that's kind of where things started going downhill as far as brokenness, as far as sin. With my dad coming into the picture came things like domestic abuse, drug and alcohol abuse from both sides of my family. And really, with that being my past, it really started to define my future. As I became a teenager and got into high school, I actually started getting involved in drugs and alcohol, sexual impurity, stuff like that. Those are things that really defined me as a teen in my early high school years. Somewhere along the road, though, my youth pastor stepped in. I believe it was my sophomore year, end of my sophomore year. My youth pastor stepped in and kind of explained to me, my mom in the beginning, before my womb, the whole violent crime situation. He kind of explained that to me as God intervening and stepping in. And before I hadn't really understood what it meant. I just kind of saw myself as an accident, saw myself as not really being wanted. But my youth pastor said that God stepped in and he kind of told my mom, "Hey, this is my plan for you. This is my plan for your child. Forget your plan, forget anyone else's plan. This is my plan for him. He has a future in me. He has a future in ministry." And after that, I just kind of spent time figuring out what that really meant. So about 2 years ago, I got the unfortunate news that my dad had been murdered. And after he was murdered, really my thoughts were all over the table, just with my past with him. There was some brokenness, but, he's still my dad, so I didn't really know how I felt about it. But overall, it was grief, and overall, it was sadness. But as the year went on, I got into this class called Evangelism and Follow-Up at Biola, and one of the final assignments was I actually had to evangelize, give the gospel to someone. And through that whole process, this man was on my heart. The man that killed my dad, he was on my heart, he was on my mind. And I really didn't want to, but basically as the professor explained the assignment, it became clear to me that this is who God wanted me to give the gospel to. This is who God really wanted me to forgive. And I got that chance shortly after at his sentencing for the murder of my dad. And when I got to the sentencing, this guy, he was given the opportunity to apologize to our family by the judge, and he didn't. He basically said he just wanted to get the trial over with and get a sentencing. And right before I was able to speak, I actually got to witness a video of him murdering my dad. Someone caught it on their phone, and I actually got to watch the thing happen. And directly after that is when the judge called me up to give my impact statement. And as I went up there, I knew that God had called me to forgive him, but I really, really did not want to. My flesh wouldn't allow me to. So right before I prayed to God, and I just said, "God, this needs to be you. I can't do it. There's no way that Arek can do this. This has to be God through Arek." And as I prayed that, I literally felt peace from my head to my toes come down, and I could feel God strengthening me. And right after that is when I looked over to the man that had killed my dad, and I told him how it had affected me, but then I said, "I'm not any different from you. Me and you have both committed sins against God, but just like me, I'm forgiven and I'm loved by God, and I can't do anything but extend that same love and forgiveness to you, because I wouldn't be, what kind of person would I be if I didn't extend what Christ has given in my own life to you?" And the single greatest moment in my life has been watching a stone cold killer's face start weeping, just because he felt for a glimpse and for a brief moment Christ's love and forgiveness in his own life. And ever since that day, I've been writing him in prison. I've sent him a Bible, not because I'm forced to, but just because that's what God's called me to do. He wants me to love on this man, and he's wanting me to forgive him. And I really don't have any other option to, just because it's what comes out of my heart.